Right now, you can see a sign which looks completely normal in this shot. I don't think anyone could spot an error here, but if we zoom out a little, we now see that the sign is placed on the left side of the road. Excuse me? Why? That makes no sense. We're in a city with right-hand traffic. Well, the key to the riddle is the power of habit.
Oh, my bad. Habit.
Let's remember, Rockstar North is based in Scotland, where you drive on the left. Rockstar spends a fortune on building an immersive in-game world that's supposed to resemble authentic locations. They hire professionals for that. They travel to whichever part of the world that is set to be the inspiration for the sandbox of the next GTA entry. Their task is to immerse themselves into the atmosphere of the place, talk to the locals, learn about their lifestyle, and then bring the research back to the studio. Everything gets analyzed and the in-game environment is created based on the experiences and made conclusions. The objective isn't to copycat real life, it's more about depicting the in-game locations the way we imagine them, but that's a topic for another day. Going back to the road signs, there are a handful of videos on YouTube that clearly show that if the traffic law from GTA 4 functioned in the real world, it'd be pure chaos on the roads. In the previous GTA entries, the traffic signs were almost completely skipped, but something that I want to talk about today are the guide signs. In other words, I'm talking about the signs that show you where to go to arrive at different locations like a town, a county, or a neighborhood. So today we're asking whether those signs actually do their job, whether they make sense, or whether they could lead anywhere. Or maybe they're just a nice decoration of the world with no practical function. Let's see. The implementation of the guide signs only started to make sense with GTA 3. Earlier in the 2D universe, we had the top-down camera view. The guide signs would have been completely useless there as we wouldn't have been able to read them anyway. That being said, GTA 3 opened up new possibilities in this regard, though the developers didn't go all in on the concept. Not a surprise. Liberty City didn't have any freeways or the countryside. The guide signs are placed only where they had to be placed. I'm talking about the bridge entrances, tunnels, and a handful in Portland. And there's also a couple next to the airport in Shoreside Vale. You could already complain that, hello, no map, no GPS, just a handful of signs. How on earth am I supposed to know where anything is in this darn city? Well, the way I see it is slightly different. Fine, there aren't many signs out there, but those that are there are pretty good, and I really feel like they're enough. Take this sign for instance. It says, "You're now leaving Portland." This is a direct reference to the real USA signage. Many states have greeting signs or farewell signs on the borders. You'll see stuff like, "Welcome to Sweet Home Alabama," "Welcome to colorful Colorado," or "Leaving Kansas, come again." That's an iconic element of the US signage, and the developers didn't forget about it in GTA 3. Another cool flavor in GTA 3 that refers to the American roads is the sign that says, "Have a nice day." In the States, there are many electronic signs which often display friendly messages, jokes, or references to the local culture. It's difficult to understand Rockstar's idea for this sign. I mean, the sign itself is fine, but its position isn't ideal. It doesn't help drivers approaching from any direction. This sign should be two signs, and those should be placed here and here. As it is, a driver approaching from the right can't see the sign until the very turn. Once the sign is visible, it's already too late to make a decision to turn. From the other side, it's a bit better, but still not ideal. While sitting in a traffic jam, a few car lengths behind the traffic lights, you can't see anything. The decision to turn has to be made at the very last moment. There's also the matter of the exits. Across all of Liberty City, the numbering of exits is simply random. In America, exits are numbered incrementally, or they correspond to the nearest mile marker. So in New York, usually if there's an exit 15 on a main road, then the next one should be 16, then 17, and so on. Sometimes it's less consistent, depending on the distances between them, but you can always see a clear pattern. In turn, Liberty City's numbering is completely all over the place. In terms of the signs in Portland, in Shoreside, they're very simplified but sufficient, considering that road networks of those boroughs aren't that complicated. See, those signs don't precisely guide you to a destination. Rather, they just tell you the general direction. You want to go to Chinatown? Well, go more or less in that direction. If you're lucky, you might just get there. And yeah, on one hand, it sounds like a joke. On the other hand, Portland doesn't have any intersections, overpasses, tunnels, or complicated crossroads at every corner. Gameplay-wise, it's actually enough. Even more so, it would have been unnecessary if they decided to put in the effort and make a top-notch signage system. It'd be like buying an RTX 5090 for $4,000 only to play GTA 3. You simply couldn't make full use of such a card in a game like that. Same way, you couldn't realize the potential of an advanced signage system in a borough that has only a dozen or so roads. We can also find beta names and linguistic inconsistencies. For instance, on the signs, Callahan Bridge is named Westport Bridge. Portland Harbor is spelled with the letter U, which is the British way. Again, Rockstar North is British, and they sometimes forget to switch. As a bonus fun fact, one of the information signs in the docs reads, "No unauthorized access." Authorized is spelled with the letter Z, which is the American standard, but in one of the pre-release screenshots, it's spelled with an S, like in the UK. There's no point discussing GTA Liberty City Stories. The game's signage is the same as in GTA 3, though it wasn't just simply pasted over. The developers took into account the changes they've made to the map and added certain corrections accordingly. For example, Callahan Bridge is removed from the signs. Same goes for the Porter Tunnel, which doesn't exist yet in 1998, when GTA Liberty City Stories takes place. Back then, there was a ferry port in its place. Let me ask you, do you think GTA Vice City and GTA Vice City Stories improved the aspect of the guide signs? Before you answer, I'll give you 2 hints. Hint number 1, GTA Vice City has a pause menu map we can display at any time. Hint number 2, the game was thrown together in 9 months. I bet all of you already know the answer to the question. Yeah, the signs are almost non-existent. The only place where Rockstar plays signs are the bridge entrances. They give us a very vague idea of how to navigate the city. But let's be straight, the map is essential in Vice City, especially with little experience. GTA San Andreas is where things get interesting. In fact, the density of guide signs in Los Santos is actually higher than in Los Angeles. The signs resemble the authentic American ones to some extent. What stands out is the amount of information on the signs in SA. There, we often see as many as 4 locations on one board, which is a rare sight in the US. A cool touch is that a handful of signs in Las Venturas show the distance to the destination. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. For now, let's analyze Los Santos. First of all, Rockstar applied an intriguing rule. They utilized diagonal arrows. The problem is that, while it sometimes works great, it often creates confusion too. In SA, the diagonal arrow indicates a turn at the second crossroads from the sign, a non-standard but intuitive idea. Let's take an example. This sign here says Richmond, diagonally right. We skip the first available right and turn only at the second one. And indeed, we arrive at Richmond. Pretty neat, works well. But we cannot always interpret diagonal arrows like this. Let's take a look at the sign right across the road. This time, there's a direction for the airport. It quickly turns out that this sign only gives us a vague direction, rather than a precise route. Following the road, making no turns, we soon encounter another sign. This one suddenly says that the airport is straight ahead. In that case, where am I supposed to turn? To which turn does the earlier sign refer? What's even more ridiculous, barely a dozen meters back on the same road, there's a sign that says Airport Second Left. Come on, game, make up your mind. From this, we see that those diagonal arrows sometimes just physically point towards a certain location. Often, they're nothing near a precise route indication. Going further, there's an even bigger mess on the same sign. Take a look. Let's follow the direction Santa Maria Pier, second left. We skip the first turning opportunity and take a left at the second. Only that, wait a minute, that turn is illegal. Of course, if we ignore that and go straight over the patch of dirt in the middle, we'll be just one turn away from our destination. But it's hard to believe that's what they intended. It seems like pure luck. This is all caused by the fact that in order to get to the pier, even though it's very close to the sign, you have to make a big-ass circle. On the other hand, if we take the most logical, straightforward approach, meaning we count only left-turning opportunities and ignore the illegal turns, the game will guide us onto a freeway, which will take us miles away from the pier. So what I think the developers intended the sign to point at is not the pier, but just simply Santa Maria Beach. Santa Maria Beach is right ahead, and that's what the sign is supposed to tell us. But the devs used the diagonal arrow seemingly because the road actually bends a few meters ahead. Well, that's just confusing. The diagonal arrow, meaning straight ahead, would only be useful in a situation like you see on screen right now. Other than that, only the straight arrow makes sense. And then we have dozens of signs that are indirect and never followed up. For instance, we have a sign that says Vinewood right. Cool, it's the correct direction. This turn will take us to another one, which will then lead us to Vinewood. The problem? There's no sign at the next turn. The question? What logic should I follow to reach my destination? I think that's the biggest problem throughout Los Santos. A lot of signs simply aren't followed up. There are also just straight up blunders. Here, the sign reads downtown, second right. Meanwhile, you'd get to downtown if you just kept going straight. Even if we follow the instructions on the sign, meaning we skip the first right and take the second, there'll be no more signs along the route, and we won't know where to go from there. The only place we'll get to is the favorite donut place of those marks from Crash. There's no shortage of even worse cases. This sign here is hard to read if approaching from the west because it's placed right behind traffic lights. Not only that, it's also placed too late because the turn for North Rock is like 20 meters back. Seriously, if we follow the sign's directions, we'll get to a one-way road where we won't be able to turn left legally. And if we want to go to downtown, the same sign literally tells us to go back. I mean, I wouldn't mind if it was placed a bit earlier on the road, then going back would actually be quite possible. As it is, we need to make a big-ass circle again to go back downtown. Well, unless the sign is saying we should make use of our handbrake and pull off a 180 in the middle of the crossroads. If that's it, then forget what I said. Everything's sweet. When it comes to these signs on the freeway, I need your help figuring out what's the deal. I just want to note that what I'll describe in a second is happening within a distance of only 50 meters. In one spot, the signs are placed very well in both directions. No issues whatsoever. And just a short distance away, the sign is placed on the wrong side of the road and its view is blocked by a palm tree and a lamppost. Good luck to the PS2 players. Reading an ill-placed sign at blurred 480i at high speed through a tree and a lamppost must be a fun experience. There are also purely aesthetic issues. For example, on this sign, the text spills beyond the edge of the board. On this one, the text isn't visible at all because it's placed behind the board texture, so it's completely covered by it. Another weird case here. The texture's levitating because it's placed too far from the board, and the boards themselves are 0 pixels wide. As you can see, Los Santos is an ambitious project when it comes to guide signs, but it was completely botched in every possible way. Luckily, it looks much better in the desert and in the countryside. There's plenty of signs, they're correct, and almost always followed up. It's really good to see that the sign routes don't just randomly end as it is in the city. I'm not sure why there's such a big contrast. I guess Rockstar probably gave it some thought and figured that, as much as the player won't need signs in the city, signs will be essential in the countryside areas, where the distances between locations are often huge. Regardless of the thought process, the signage in the countryside is just top-notch. In San Fierro, there are almost no signs at all, except for the freeways. Those freeway signs are similar to the ones in Portland in GTA 3. They only give us a general direction. The signs also contain errors, and some of those mistakes are easy to spot. Here, the sign guides us to downtown. Great, only that we're already downtown. There's also a typo. Garver Bridge is spelled as Carver Bridge. Moving on to Las Venturas, a cool feature is that some signs tell the distance to the destination. This is realistic because the distances are often present on authentic American signage. Let's take this sign. It says that Pilgrim is 1/4 of a mile away. In other words, 0.25 miles away. Now, is this actually correct? The San Andreas map is 33 square kilometers. We know that thanks to an in-game statistic. It's also a perfect square. That said, the map is 5.8 kilometers long and 5.8 kilometers wide. In miles, it's 3.6 by 3.6. In my map image, this corresponds to 3,300 pixels. The distance from the sign to Pilgrim is 330 pixels. 330 divided by 3,300 is 1/10. We multiply it by 3.6 and we get 0.36 miles. That's a bit more than what the sign says, so 0.25. The result is a bit off, but it's not a major difference. But trust me, it'd be much worse if we calculated the distance of the actual route to Pilgrim, rather than the distance as the crow flies. Another problem? This sign shows 4 locations and distances to them. Now let's drive down the road for a minute. We encounter another sign, which gives the exact same distances. Real nice, Rockstar. Going further in LV, signage at some exits is mostly good, while at others it's completely fantasy. Like here, the sign instructs us to exit to the left to get to Linden Station. And sure, Linden Station is on our left. But in order to drive there legally, we need to first take the exit on the right and only then go left. Meanwhile, the game wants us to go cross-country. I'll say it again, I don't get why Rockstar often makes their signs physically point at the destination rather than show the actual route. As it is, there are plenty of places where the game just wants you to go off-road. In GTA 4, the developers place signs only on the main roads. Do they resemble the authentic USA signs? Yes, they actually more or less do. We often see the US route symbol. Too bad there's never a number inside, but it gets the job done as a decorative touch. Another thing that's realistic is the signs indicating exit-only lanes. Those lanes are exclusively dedicated to drivers that will leave the freeway at the nearest exit. It's often used in the US. And sure, the in-game drivers completely ignore them, but let's skip that fact. Are the guide signs in GTA 4 correct and helpful? I feel like Rockstar did a better job with city signage than in SA, but we can still find errors and many signs are not followed up again. This seems to be a common problem. You can see a couple of examples on screen, but let's not dwell on the details again. Just know that the problem is still very much there in GTA 4. Let's talk about more interesting mistakes. Here, take this sign. This sign says, "In order to get to Algonquin, drive right off the bridge and smash your car into the road below." Well, who knows? Maybe the paramedics would take us to the hospital in Algonquin. Jokes aside, I mean, what even is this? What do you mean, go right? Right where exactly? Algonquin is clearly straight ahead. You can see it in the distance at the other end of the bridge. This sign is also quite fascinating. The game says that South Bohan is straight ahead, and then there's Chase Point right. If we follow this instruction, we'll enter a road under renovation leading straight onto a construction site. Again, this sign doesn't show the route, but works as a compass. No one cares to tell us how to actually get there by car. It seems more like it's trying to show us how to get there by a helicopter or something. As long as that approach is consistent, fine, we can turn a blind eye. But on the same bridge, there's another sign, which this time tells us that to get to Algonquin, which is on our left, we need to turn right to an exit that leads there. Some signs are compasses, while others are actual signs. Both have the same symbols, and you have to guess each time which approach to take. It's just one big mess. Now let's briefly go back to complaining about the signs not being followed up, but this time I want to show you an example where the devs did it correctly. As in, they did follow up the sign. This sign here leads us to Chinatown. We're a long way from Chinatown, but let's give it a chance. In this case, the sign is followed up multiple times, each placed in the right and visible spot, each with correct directions. If we follow the directions, there you go. We're in Chinatown. This is a great summary of GTA 4's signage. It's brilliant at times, and ridiculous at others. At the end, a few words about wasted potential. GTA 4 was the first GTA game to introduce a full-fledged street naming system. In Cyberpunk 2077, there's a sign with the street name at almost every set of traffic lights. In New York, those signs are iconic. They really add to the American atmosphere. For some reason, there are none in GTA 4. Sometimes we can spot one-way signs, or ones that suggest that they might have actually planned at some point to add street name signs. But I don't know, maybe they ran out of time to implement it or something. I don't want this video to be overly long, so we'll discuss GTA 5 after the release of GTA 6. We'll do a quick summary of the 3D universe and see what improvements GTA 6 will introduce. Meanwhile, thanks for watching. Big shout out to the supporters. Take care and see you soon.